Welcome back. Here we are in my garage. It's not the cleanest part of the house. Get all that oil that I spilled when I did the, I was doing some maintenance to the Miata. Anyway. Today we're going to fix the driveway. And I'll show you what I'm going to do. Alright. So initially I tried to use Quikrete Pourable Gap Sealer in the joints between the slabs, but the stuff never cured. Turns out I poured it a little too thick and it's just trapping water. Not good stuff. I tried it over here too, but yeah, more of the same. Just not good news, not working out. So I did the whole driveway and it just didn't work out. So during the rainstorm last night, I started removing this. So what happened is, it turns out it's water soluble. Let me show you what I used. What I used should be a couple. Yeah, I got 3 bottles of it here. Quikrete Concrete Crack Seal. The thing is, in order for this stuff to work, it has to be dry for about 9 or 10 days. It has to be dry before and after. It takes about 8 days to cure. Yes, 8 days. And can only go up to a 1/2 inch wide by about a 1/4 inch deep. So, no bueno. Not going to happen. Not for me anyway. So, I gave up on that. So when it was raining last night, or yesterday, was it yesterday or the day before? It's been raining for about 5 days now. I came out here while the driveway was nice and wet, and I hosed out all of the stuff I used. Just washed it out. Let it run down. Because unless it's fully cured, it absorbs water. So the water that seeped up from the ground just kept it from ever drying, and it was just a nightmare. So I just let it all run down the hill, and you can see there's some white spots down there. Way out there, you see that? Yeah, that's just the residue. We'll deal with that later. So I went to Plan B. Plan B is I pack all the joints with repair mortar, which is this stuff here. And you can see I've already started this section, but I ran out. I had to go get more. This is just high performance repair mortar. This stuff is great, man. This is the stuff that I used over here to fill in some low spots over here, like this right here. And I did this like last year, actually. I did all this. So here's the deal. So this driveway is nearly 70 years old. It's poured concrete. That's what they used to do. In neighborhoods like this one, which were built, around the war, post-war, and even earlier, is they would do concrete driveways because that's just what you did back in the day. Now, in other parts of the country, concrete driveways are nothing special. But up here in New England, they're pretty rare. Well, they're not extremely rare, but they're not common in this area because they're expensive, for one. The other thing is they don't take salt very well. So we get a lot of freezing, well, we're up in the Northeast United States, so it gets pretty damn cold in the winter. So we get a lot of snow and ice, and which means that we salt our driveways, walkways, and other, in the roads. So the thing about concrete driveways is they just disintegrate with long-term exposure to salt. And that's what causes a lot of the damage that you see, especially in the cracks and everything. So, concrete driveways have largely been abandoned up in the Northeast because, number one, they're expensive, and number two, they can degrade rapidly. So the funny thing is we still do concrete sidewalks, which is strange, but whatever. So over the past 70 years or so, the driveway has, it's settled. It's moved. You can actually tell how far it's moved by looking over here, which I'm going to pack all this in with mortar too. But it's probably slid back from the house about 1.5 to 2 inches. I'm going to say that's about 2 inches of backslide. Now I'm going to pack all that with mortar just as I did over here, and we're gonna undo some of that damage. Hey, buddy. So that's what's happened. You can actually really see it right here. Now, this type of creep is pretty common, even with an asphalt driveway. But asphalt driveways don't last 70 years. No, they just don't last that long. But this one has held up pretty well. And you can see that the slabs, like they're actually together. Like the whole driveway is slid as one unit downward. And why? And the reason I believe that's happened is, I mean, of course, natural settling is part of it. But the other thing is, once water finds its way in this crack here along that slab where the two join, once water finds its way in there, it expands when it freezes. And over the course of 7 decades, it pushes the driveway a little at a time. Now the other thing that happens is water, once those control cracks. So when they pour a slab, they put in control joints. What those are designed to do, that's what these used to be. They used to be just a slight score in the concrete every so many feet. So what those do is they allow the concrete to settle and just do its natural movements without major cracks through the main slabs. So those control joints are designed to crack. So the concrete is supposed to crack along those joints. And it's done that pretty well, except for right there. That's the only spot where it hasn't quite worked out. Well, whatever. Anyway, so once water gets into those joints, it gets under the slab and freezes, and it, little by little, the whole driveway will slide into the street, in theory. But generally, in this region, driveways don't last long enough for that to really be a problem. So that's, so this one has clearly had an opportunity, every opportunity to do that. So what we're doing is we're going to try to reduce the amount of sliding while patching the damage that was done. And this is a process, but let me show you what I've done. All right, so you see this joint right here. This is pretty bad. This is what most of those two joints down there, that's kind of what they look like. Now what's happening is water and salt and all these horrible things are getting in here. It freezes, it cracks, and every year this gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So what we've done is we've gone and packed that entire seam with repair mortar. And then I'm using my, just a little leftover flooring that I have, just underlayment. And I'm actually running a nice score line just to maintain the, just to maintain that sacrificial seam. But I think this is going to fix it for a number of years. May not be permanent, but what is permanent for you anyway? Nothing is permanent when you really think about it. This house isn't permanent. It's all here for now. I'm also repairing a couple of low spots with a trowel, and I'm using a broom to get my the anti-slip texture into it. I really should resurface the whole driveway with sand mix. No, maybe later. Maybe not this year. Maybe in a couple of years. We'll see what happens. Now this whole section, this is my point. This is 67 years old. This is probably 15 years old. Yeah. that driveway over there. Probably 20 years old. 67 years old. Yeah, it's kind of like that. Concrete lasts for a long time if it's poured correctly and if it's maintained. That's kind of what I'm getting at. And it may not be the prettiest, but I don't care. It's a driveway. It's what you put your car on. That's about all it's for. But this is all going to have to be ripped up and replaced. I'm going to actually hire that out. Maybe not this year, maybe next year. We'll see what happens. But I'm going to have this all torn up. This shouldn't cost me too much. It's a very small section. And what they're going to do is they're going to cut it at the street and just jackhammer all this right up. And I'm going to replace it with asphalt because that's just what you do. And there's actually a good reason for that. Okay, so step one, we're going to use a garden hose and we're going to mist the entire section that we're fixing with water. And what that's going to do is it's going to aid adhesion. So we don't want it saturated, but we do want it wet. All right, let's crack open a bucket of mix. Okay, comes in this handy bag. You should be wearing gloves, but I'm not. All right. Don't breathe that mix. Yeah, bad idea. All right. So, you don't want to breathe this, but anyway. I like to trowel out what I need. Alright. So then what we're going to do, we're going to wet the mix on using the mist setting. Will spill out. This is not a proper concrete mixing pan. This is a baking pan. My girlfriend will not be happy. I hope you don't have any birthdays coming up. Shit. Wet the mix. Mix it. You want the consistency to be thick enough to stick to the trowel, but you don't want it granular like this. But remember, this stuff sets pretty fast, so I don't have a lot of work time with it either. Now, we're using repair mortar because repair mortar sticks to existing concrete pretty well. If I were to use concrete mix, that may not be the case. Concrete mix does not stick to existing concrete very well. That's why a lot of repairs don't really hold up that well if you use the wrong stuff. And the repair mortar is great because it contains some structural mixed with a structural component to the mix. This is about the consistency we want. Kind of like that. Alright. Okay. Does it stick to the trowel? Yeah, I'd say that's pretty good. I'd say that's going to do the job. Okay. Now we're just going to pack it into the joint. Should be wearing gloves. Just saying. How you doing?
You are amazing.
Oh, no, I'm just cheap.
Well, still, I think you're very smart to do it.
What are you doing, Brandon? Just,
I'm rebuilding the seams,
okay.
which were badly eroded.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm out of mix. A little bit left. Now we have to make our score line. Try to line it up with the existing. Take my trowel. here. There. All right. Maybe I shouldn't move the tool so much. There we go. Okay. I think that'll do it. Still not too happy with it though. Let's kind of pull off some excess. Put this back in. Yeah, there we go. Oh. Yeah, that kind of got messy there, didn't it? A little bit too, but all right. That's how you do it. And we got to continue on the next section. So I'm gonna have to mix up some more mix. I'll admit that mix is a little bit watery, but did the job. I think, what do you think? 2 scoops? 2.5? Ooh. A little less watery. So you don't want to use too much water because the mix will actually lose strength. It can affect it greatly, more than you think. More than I think. Okay. You don't want it to be too thin. Okay. You never want to breathe this stuff in. I believe it contains silica, which can cause major lung damage. Almost as bad as asbestos. Silica's not good. There we are. Actually, I think I might need more mix. How about that? Use a trowel to work it in. You can't see any of this, can you? Sorry. Yeah, that's a much better mix there. Almost like the consistency of margarine, I think. That's what you want. Get our seamer. Put that in there. There we are. Have a different trowel I can use. It might make this a little bit easier to do. Oh, there we go. Yeah. That's more like it. Okay, I think that's pretty good. I'll just use my thumb, patch in a few areas. And before it cures, just like that. Time. broom. Like, good as new. There you are. Another rebuilt joint. Now I've got that one to do, but I have to clean it out first, which I'm not going to do that now. So I'm going to take the rest of my mix and I'm going to pack it in against the house. And so what that's turned into, it's kind of a raceway for rodents. Rodents are getting in there and getting into my garage. I don't like that. So I'm going to pack that in with some mix and call it a day. And then later on, when I have more energy, maybe later this week, I'll clean that one out and we'll repack it just like we did those three. Thank you for watching. Okay, I've made all the repairs I'm going to make for today, except for that. I have to do that. But I'm going to probably wait for another rainy day where I can just kind of hose this stuff out and let it kind of run out, I guess. I don't know. But it'll never cure, for sure. And this one too. I'm going to do the same thing here. All those expansion joints are fixed. That's all filled in. So that mice can't get between the slab and the ground and into the garage anymore. That'll piss off a lot of little Mickeys, but hey, whatever, it's a hard knock life. So, for them. So yeah. We'll see. I mean, if in 5 years I have to fill another 2 inches. One idea that I had, and I had some leftover mortar, so I filled in a couple of little spalls in the garage floor. Like you see over there. Yeah, this is this particular slab is not really great. Honestly, what I'd like to see happen is, and it's easier said than done because the garage is built on top of it. I'd like to rip this whole slab out and put a nice new slab with a vapor barrier. But this is how they built garages back in the day. I mean, they really didn't do it right by today's standards. You'll notice that the entire garage is sitting on a 4x6 sill plate. So the same 4x6 sill plate that the house is sitting on. The difference is the house is sitting on a stem wall. The garage is sitting on a slab. So, that's not great. But it's held up all these years, and there really doesn't appear to be any signs of vermin intrusion in terms of wood-boring insects. So I'm not too concerned. I mean, the garage is sitting fine, but of course, modern construction methods are a little bit better than, in some ways, than the way they used to be. But this is not uncommon. In fact, every house in this neighborhood is built this way, and they all seem to be pretty solid so far. But yeah, this slab is shithouse. Now the thing that's nice is we don't really use this garage for our daily drivers. Just the Miata sits in this garage. So what really eats up these garage slabs is if you're, commuting in the winter and you've got all that salt on your car and all that wet snow and ice and stuff. So you bring your car into your garage with all that salt that's just waiting to do some damage to either the car or the garage floor. But anyway, all that stuff melts onto the floor and it sits there. And that calcium chloride eats up the concrete. So this garage hasn't been used for a commuter car in 10 years maybe. Talked to the neighbors, and they said that some of the previous tenants in this house, back when it was rented out, they kept their sports car in here, which didn't see the winter at all. So the degradation, I guess, is what I'm really saying in so many words or less, is that, this garage floor will be fine for the foreseeable future because we're not bringing in cars in the wintertime, to park. It's just for the sports car that we have here. So it shouldn't get much worse, is really what I'm saying. But other than the damage that I caused from all my oil spills. But shh. That didn't work out, did it? Anyway, that's it for now. Time to go do something fun. Woohoo! Fun. This is July 4th. The Monday. This is July 5th, so Monday was the 4th. So there'll be a lot of fireworks displays today, I think. But I don't know if I'm going to go to any of them. Why not? I don't know. We'll see. It's holding up pretty good. Well, anyway, thank you all for your patronage. I appreciate that. And have a great night.